the What's Good podcast.
Hey ladies and gents, this is your girl Brianna Javon with What's Good podcast, and we want to thank you so much for tuning into another episode of season 3. As you know, we do not have interviews, instead we have genuine conversations. So let's get into it.
All right, let's do it. Let's do it.
So I have our guest for today. His name is Keith Clark.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm great. I am excited. I'm happy. It's been a good morning, so it's going to be a better afternoon.
Right?
Yeah.
Starting the day off with smiles.
Smiles, everything.
Yes.
Everything. All the bills are paid.
For real.
This go round.
For real. Another month?
Another month.
Making it happen.
Making it happen.
That's
For real.
For
real.
All right, so as y'all know, we always start off with icebreakers.
Okay.
So your icebreaker for today, what skill do you think everyone should have and why?
Honesty.
Oh, that's good.
Honesty, period. Honesty. Honesty is the best policy. If you lie, there's going to be repercussions. If you tell the truth, there's going to be repercussions. However, the repercussions may not be as bad, you know. But yeah, honesty, because there's too many people faking a funk, whether it's in personality, whether it's in personal relationships, whether it's in business dealings, whether it's with yourself. A lot of people lie to themselves.
That is so true. And don't even know how to face it.
And don't even know how to face it when it happens. So, you know, one thing that this corona situation has done is it hopefully has made people face themselves and sit down with themselves and realize that everything that you either create, every facade, legitimately or illegitimately, can be diminished and stopped at the drop of a hat.
I agree.
Yeah, it can be.
Good.
But I do think that honesty, everyone should just really be honest. Literally.
That was good. I was thinking like communication. I was like, okay, you know, that was good too, but I wasn't even thinking about honesty.
Yeah.
It's so many.
Yeah, some people just, they don't, some people don't realize it. You know, even if they have to exaggerate something, just be real. Like, you know, like I say, bills are paid.
That's true.
This month.
I've noticed that some people think it for so long.
Yeah.
And then they were like, oh,
Yeah.
you know what?
Yeah.
That really ain't me.
Right.
I'm like,
Right.
well, you done did this long and you're not comfortable with faking.
Literally. And then it all come crashing and burning.
They don't know why.
And yeah, or you know, I'm just trying to be real. Oh, if this is the real you, what you been doing? But the real you is resurfacing with such a vengeance and such a bitterness and anger and angst that now you done turn people off. Now you want people to feel sorry for you because you felt for whatever reason you had to put this facade up.
And that's out the door.
It's out the door now.
Yeah.
But now you turn into a total monster now.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, I didn't want to go for counseling.
Not the face.
I'm going to counseling because, well, you know, you did this.
Because you started something and now you can't go back and change it.
Oh, right. Or, you know, the veil has been lifted. And now you got to learn yourself all over again.
That's true. What's to say you got to unlearn what you learned or taught yourself.
Yeah.
That's so real.
Yeah.
Look at you. We did an icebreaker and we're already into it, okay? All right, y'all. So we're going to go ahead and get into the genuine conversation.
Okay.
This season I've been starting off with who is Keith Clark.
Wow. Who is Keith Clark? All right. How can I sum this up? It's always hard for me to talk about myself. It literally is. Because I am Keith Clark. I'm a child of God. I am the second. I am the 2.0 version of my mother and my father. A culmination of all their gifts and talents that either they didn't get the opportunity to fully go forth, and it's been given to me. And so while I have enough breath, I'm trying to utilize all of them as best I can when I can to fulfill that purpose on my life. I am creative. I am honest. I'm loyal. I'm unique. I'm honest. I don't like to say real because that's honest. And I'm just Keith Clark. You can't put me in a box, even though people can try to put me in a box. But you can't put me in a box because I always feel like the sky's the limit for me. But I know my limits. I love that. If that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah. I've worked so much on my weaknesses that even though there's still weaknesses, there's strengths now.
What did that journey look like for you? Because it just, the way, even though you said it's hard to talk about yourself, I think that was beautiful what you just did.
Okay.
So what did that journey look like to be who you are today? Knowing those strengths, knowing those weaknesses, knowing that you can't put me in a box because I'm outside the box. I'm going to do whatever I please.
Yes. Yes. And let me even clarify that. Because that process, yes, I have lived doing whatever I pleased, and then realizing that sometime the things that I wanted to do that pleased me didn't necessarily please God. So then I had to go back and get back with His will and purpose for my life. But not be mad because it didn't work out, because while I was trying to go for it, we always get clues. So
my cousin calls them the nudge.
yeah, so sometimes you have to know how hard to push, know whether you're pushing up against a brick wall or you're pushing against something that is movable. But people try to push through a whole bunch of stuff that is not movable. And so I always go back. I'm a very introspective person, so I always go back to figure out either what did I do wrong, how can I do something better, did I give it my all,
Right.
did I mess up? If I messed up, let me apologize, make amends, whether it's to other people, whether it's to God, whether it's to myself.
Right.
And be real with myself so that whatever I do, I can still present my best self possible in whatever light it is. And not get mad or persuaded with other people's opinion and judgment. And it does come with a price, especially when you're younger, because we're raised where we can't buck back against our elders, and sometimes our elders think they know everything, but
true.
some of the things that they have learned and known has been passed down, antiquated traditions and rituals that really are not relevant either to the times or the mistakes they made, but are not trying to tell you how to correct them.
No, that's for real.
You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's when we get into like generational stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a whole other bag of worms. So for me, it's been a journey because it's all I've known. I now understand probably about maybe 5 years ago. I'm 45 now, I just turned 45 in July. But about 5 years ago, why when I was younger, some people would call me a troublemaker or a rebel or I had an attitude problem. And I understand what it is now because I know I was created and birthed to question traditions and rituals to find out what the real meaning is.
Yes.
And then not buck down to go along to get along if it goes against either what I feel individually or what I feel morally.
I feel like that's liberating.
It is. That's why I've always lived. That's why you can't put me in a box.
Yeah.
And just because I may be in this group and going down this path here, I also know that I do it differently. And didn't know that I was doing it differently until most people start pointing it out to me because I was just being me. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. And then when people try to tell me, well, you shouldn't and you can't, and that, well, how can you tell me how to be me and you're not me?
Right. You can't do that.
You can't do that.
You can't tell people how to feel. You can't tell people what to do,
Exactly.
why to do this.
Exactly.
If you can't tell me why, then
Exactly.
there's no purpose of us talking
Exactly.
about it either.
Exactly. You're absolutely correct. And so yeah, I used to get bugged back as a lot of times been sent to the principal's office in school and stuff. Like I say, not being disrespectful, but then I noticed that I guess some people wanted me to kind of be disrespectful to pull another part out of me. So then I did flip over to that a little bit with the intelligence that I had. I'll give you what you want.
Right.
But would you be able to handle it? It was a survival mechanism at some points in time, but then it's also when it started getting too out of control, God was like, come back. And so that's what I mean by let me go back. And so even in that process, there were some apologies I had to go back and do because I wasn't representing him.
Yes.
And I'm not one that, well, now that I am, but I wasn't one always to be like, I'm Christian and God this and God that, because it always comes with its connotations. I know people have been church hurt and everything else. However, a lot of what people know and the reason a lot of people have been hurt is because the people that has done it or were doing it, they were only humans. It's not an excuse, but most people look to the humans to represent, excuse me, who God the Father is, and not look to God the Father for him to say who he is.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does. That was really, really good.
So that's literally what it is. So coming into the traditions with all of that, it's kind of like, okay, well, I know from Sunday school they say this and they say this, they say this, but y'all acting like this and like this, but which one is it? But then you're telling me that you can do it because you're grown, but then the Bible says this, but then you tell me to read the Bible, but then you want me to read you. So it ain't making sense.
Right. It's not coming in full circle.
It's not making sense.
Yes.
And so I'm going to keep seeking within myself. I would always pray. I would always ask. And like I said, I know I was birthed with it. I was birthed with it. I like to get to the root of anything.
Yes.
Because I don't care how many times you chop down a tree, it's still going to produce what it's going to produce.
It's still going to come out.
Unless you get to the roots and figure out what seed was planted to begin with.
Keith, I only asked one question and
I'm just flowing. I'm just flowing.
Because I mean, through that, I feel like you practice self-reflection a lot.
I do.
And what is the importance of taking that step to do self-reflection?
You have to know why you were created.
You really
Period. You have to know why you were created. You know, a lot of people are searching for their purpose and they're searching for any means all throughout all kind of spiritualities and everything. But throughout all these different spiritualities, did these beings, deities, idols, whatever, are they the ones that created you? So if I don't get the answers from the two beings that created me or the birth line that created me, because every family have these secrets, these deals, these that, is that.
Yes.
Let me go to the source, because somebody created y'all, and somebody created the ones who created y'all, and somebody created y'all. Where's the root? Where's the seed? What's the seed that was planted? The good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, and that's just how I've been with everything. Yeah, because in this journey alone, the only person that I can control is myself.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying?
That's it.
And so all I can do is be the best man possible in the way that I was created. And part of it started with, what does my name mean? Why was I named this way?
So that was your first step.
Yeah, because a lot of times our purpose is tied to our name.
I want to know how deep that goes in for you, because I know certain people now, as I'm getting older, they're not naming their children until they actually spend time with their child, and then from there place a name on the baby. And so I
get it. I get it.
So
I didn't know that was a
now,
thing. I didn't know that was a thing.
I've actually heard some people say, I don't know what the baby name is. I just want to wait until we can see the personality and then get the baby name. So I understand now people are being more, not strategic, but just being careful and conscious of the name they give their children.
Like I said, I'm a root person. So yeah, my dad, I'm a second, I'm a junior. My dad's name is Keith as well. I saw things in him that I adored. I saw things that were kind of like, and it wasn't a judgment, but once again, a lot of times it's do as I say, not as I do. And a lot of times there's a contradiction that happens. I'm very observant like that. And then I'm the first of my generation, so I'm the first grandchild on my mom's and dad's side. So anyone who's a firstborn know that there comes these unspoken rules of responsibility. You know, even though you're a child, you're the oldest.
Yeah.
Well, you should know better because you're the oldest. I'm 8 though. I'm 8 years old though.
Yeah.
So you get mad at me because you made me make a decision, and then when I made a decision, it just happened to be the wrong decision. Now I'm getting in trouble for it.
Yeah.
When I came to you to ask you, what should I do, kind of deal. So because we grew up and we can't talk back or shouldn't talk back or all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, where's this coming from? Why is it coming? And so I started being very observant and watching people, watching actions, watching my actions. Some things were happening to me, some thoughts were happening to me, some good, some bad, some indifferent, but where are they coming from? Because this ain't even anything I'm interested in.
Right.
And then we get into, transference and spirits, and we can get real deep with that. But I say all that to say that, yeah, so on one end, which makes sense, even as I got older, Keith in certain languages means woodsman, or person is skilled with wood, which is why it's funny because I love wood. Without even knowing, I love wood shop class, I love the smell of woods, even with my line, like, without me even knowing, and once again putting it back together, like all the woody scents. I can work some woody scents out. People are like, I don't even like that, but the way this was just mixing, so that's that. Also, I see why I kicked up dust and everything, because another translation of Keith is warrior. So all that, oh, you rebellious, or if it's something I really believe in, I will fight for it. And I will not back down.
And I don't think nothing's wrong.
Right, and I'll bring truth, I'll bring facts.
Yeah.
I will still, like I tell people, I can understand where you're coming from and still hold my position. Right. Don't necessarily mean that I accept or agree, but I can understand where you're coming from.
Right.
Like, why they snap off and kill somebody? Oh, you find out they was cheated on and they have a history of this. I understand. It doesn't make it right, but I understand it. And some people think that you have to agree because you understand something.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you don't necessarily have to, because in everything there's still a standard. You know what I'm saying? And so I now understand that even though I would stand up, whether it be for myself, whether it be against institutional stuff, I don't like academia. I don't. I don't like the system of academia. Yeah, I don't. But because technically knowledge is free.
Yeah.
And then you're trying to force me into learning some stuff that someone said that we need and test us on it. But then as we get older, we realize we don't even need half of that stuff.
No, for real. I think for you, it goes back to you being put in a box.
Yeah.
And that's why you're not trying to even touch that.
Yeah.
But I agree, because even with me going to school, I don't use my degree.
Yes.
And that's just being real.
Yes. Yeah. And so another thing that people used to give me, because I was labeled gifted and talented and all this other stuff and all this advanced stuff, and we were supposed to be different from the regular kids, which I didn't like, you know. So when we get a substitute teacher and we like, oh, I'm about to skip, but they're like, why do y'all do that? You're not supposed to do that. Like, who says who?
Yeah.
We teenagers
Y'all
like everybody
put the rules
else,
on us.
right? Like we still teenagers too. Like we get a sub. I mean, and don't get me wrong, because like I said, you got to go back and repent sometimes. But like, you ain't even a real teacher. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Let's start there.
Right? Don't come in here trying to teach us a whole lesson. Like we ain't about to do this. This is the free day. You know what I'm saying? Like,
But you don't know.
And no disrespect to the substitute teachers, but. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Every substitute teacher that I probably gave hell, not on a regular basis, but it's like, don't come in here and try. We ain't on that lesson. You come in here try to, claim your spot. If you want to be a real full-time teacher, then be one.
Right.
But
you are too funny.
But yeah, but it's stuff like that. So because I was in those programs, and even with my mom and my dad, and I'm gonna send her these interviews because we had these talks, because some things came to head. But why are you not making straight A's? So and so making straight A's, your cousin making straight A's. I'm like, I don't like that subject. But because I got a pass, I'm just gonna do the bare minimum on the pass. But I'm not interested in the subject, so I'm not gonna apply myself 100% to the subject. But the things that I was really interested in, gung ho, boom. I research, I go to the library because I'm interested in it. That's a path I wanted to go. And I think in school or academia, they either force you to try to pick something, which to a certain degree you do need to have a standard. But, a lot of the BS classes, they're not even supplemental classes, but requirements. I'm like, I'm not interested in this.
Yeah. It's like,
but I gotta
have to take
right,
this
but I got to do good so I can move to the next level. I don't care about this, and it's no knock to those who care about whatever subject. It's just not for me.
Everybody's perception on things are different.
Yes.
We're not going to always agree on things, and that's what goes back to what you're saying. What you believe in is what you believe in, and what I believe in is what I believe in.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I'm going to say, oh, you're wrong for what you believe in.
Right.
Because that's not That's not how you're supposed to do things.
Right. And sometimes I'll be like, well, how's it working out for you? Because every seed produces fruit. So if you're saying this is working for you, but your whole life is in shambles, then you either not follow the instructions correctly, or that's just not what it is.
This is true. Because what really is working for you?
Yeah.
That's my question.
Yeah.
If you're coming down my throat, well, you need to do this. Okay, well, apparently you're doing this, and some things don't look too good on the outside.
Right. And then even being real in that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter what path you're on, there's going to be obstacles. That's how we get stronger. That's how we learn. That's where wisdom comes in. You have to apply what you know. They like to say knowledge is power, but no, knowledge is just knowledge. Knowing how to use it is power.
Practice.
Like, I know when my check engine light come on and something's going on with the engine. You know what I'm saying? And if I can plug up a little device, it'll let me know exactly what the problem is. Now, the true power will come if I know how to fix it. But until then, I have knowledge. I have to take it to someone else who knows how to fix it.
That is such...
because that's what, like, we living in the age of Aquarius, the age of knowledge. Yeah, everybody got too much knowledge.
Yeah.
and useless knowledge.
And don't do anything.
And don't do nothing with it but brag and be like, I know this, I know this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I got my master's, I got 2 doctorates, I got this. I mean, but you still goofy.
Don't mean anything.
You still goofy. Like,
yes.
Can you apply it? Or are you just over here just flexing just to be flexing?
Just because you got it.
Just because you got it.
Mm-hmm.
And you miserable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You in debt and
Don't
now
have
you're
nothing
doing
to show
something
for
that
it.
ain't got nothing to even do with that.
Don't have nothing to show.
You know, and like I
for
said,
it.
ain't no knock, but it's when people chase those things.
Because that's what we were taught to do.
Taught?
We were taught to go to high school, get your education, go get your degree, and then from there go to corporate. But times are changing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then even with that, though, a lot of people do it not for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Because that's what they was told to do.
They do it, sometimes they do it because they see other people who it's their purpose to really do it. And they have a level of success to it. So now you over there like, oh, well, if they do it, I can do that, and I want to be just like that. Then I'm going to have the same success they have. But that might not be your race.
That's good. So with that being stated, how do you stay in your lane versus keeping up with the Joneses?
I know myself.
I think that's key.
I know myself.
I think that's key.
Like I say, good, bad, and different. And I'm cool with it. You know what I'm saying? If it's something I need to really work on and change, then I'll work to try to change it. I don't let anyone tell me who I am because people have different perceptions. And I'm the type of person, and I've even come to this, another revelation probably 10 years ago, because people are like, you just shady sometimes, you shift. And I'm like, no, I'm real honest. But I get how some people feel that way, because if I'm not feeling you, I'm not feeling you.
Yeah.
Now, in my older years, I've learned not to be disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? But we're not all put on this earth for everybody to like us or be friends with everybody. So just because everybody else is giving you praises, I'm not necessarily hating on you because I don't necessarily feel you. You shouldn't worry about me. You should worry about everyone who's also adoring you. And that goes to another thing where people always try to seek validation from the people who are giving them hell and grief and probably ain't even feeling them, and then neglect all the ones that's really trying to push them and root for them. And that's a whole nother bag of worms.
I want to open up those bag of worms.
Yeah, and I've just never done that. Like I say, unless God corrects me.
Right.
And I know either when he sends someone to correct me, because usually he'll send someone either as a confirmation or a final warning before he's about to go in and make you suffer the consequences of either walking outside his will or being disobedient. You know what I'm saying? So I learned to recognize those warnings, because sometimes we already get them little nudges and we think we go, oh, his grace, his grace, his grace, his grace. And so we're like, somebody you don't even know, you need to stop what you're doing, or they call it straight out. You be like, but I've noticed that too, because it used to happen to me when I was younger. Like even when I would want to try to be, bad or sneak or do something, and somebody, young man, don't do what you think about doing. Oh, I ain't even told nobody.
Right.
How you know?
How you know?
Like, and that always something that it's something out there bigger than us. Like, yeah, God, you are real. Besides the dreams that you're showing me, besides you talking to me without me really knowing at a young age that it was definitely your voice. Because I had to learn that even when I would buck and go against it, just because how I'd either get spanked, by life, or get in trouble, or get exposed in some kind of way, and then go back and like, I tried to tell you, and I'd be like, oh, this voice, okay, cool. So yeah, it's literally all of that. And so my favorite sport is track. And the reason I love track is because you are part of a team, but your race is your race.
It is.
You have to stay in your lane.
It is.
You have to stay in your lane.
You got all the symbols.
That was my favorite. That's why I love running track. I don't compete with anybody because at the end of life, since people like to say only God can judge me, and he will, but when we get in front of him, he's not going to ask me who was I better than. Did you do what I created you to do?
Yes.
You know,
so real.
and that's really as simple as it is. People always out here look, the meaning of life and all this confusion and stuff. It's like,
so hard.
And I get amazed when I talk to people and they're like, they never thought about why they were created or why they are here. I'm like, really? You never just really thought you never really even thought like you are a living being that have thought process, and then you look at other people and you're like, wow, they're other human beings, but they have a thought process slightly different or similar, and their path is here, and then how can we possibly connect so we can get through this life together?
Yes,
even if it's just
guidance.
yeah, even if it's just giving someone a word of encouragement or helping someone out, or they have a skill set that I don't have, and okay, so that's your thing. So okay, but I need help over here. I don't want to learn how to do that, or I'm not good at it, or that's just not for me. I don't even have a clue. Can you help me? Can you be honest and do that? But yeah, but you, like I said, you have people, and it's I'm not gonna go totally deep there, and on the religious aspect of it, but yeah, it's deeper in how people get off of their path, and things of that nature. Because that's a whole sermon in and of itself. But yeah, I know myself, and I can only be myself in whatever situation that I'm in. I have to live with the consequences.
Yeah.
I have to live with the successes. I don't care if someone else caused it. I still have to live with myself.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So I have to be comfortable with the good, the bad, the ugly, and try not to make my ugly so ugly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And being honest with it, but also not using it as a crutch. Because we're living in the state of everybody want to be a victim. Well, because of this and because okay, well, if you're not liking it, why you think somebody else is gonna like it? So what can you do to make it better?
Yes.
I mean, if you put a little makeup on a pig, it's gonna look a little bit better.
But that's it, because that makeup is gonna go off and you still gonna be a pig.
Right.
Pig.
So yeah, so it's like, yeah, do what you can and not make this easy. But it's me, and it's just how I am. Well, everybody ain't gonna put up with that's just how you are.
Yeah, because you're gonna ultimately be by yourself.
Yeah.
Because you can't force that on people.
Yeah, you can, and you can't be mad when people don't want to deal with it.
Yes.
And you can't be mad even if you're doing everything right if people don't feel you.
That validation, you gotta let that
Because
go.
what's funny is people don't turn it back on themselves and be like, you don't even feel everybody. So how you gonna hold somebody else to a standard that you don't even stand?
That's true.
Well, don't judge me, but you judge people.
Yeah, what you put out in the air is what you're gonna get back.
Right. And I don't understand why people only think that only works for good. Or work for good. You know what I'm saying? Hey, don't judge me. All these Christians do it. All they do is judge. Well, you're not a Christian and you judge. We have a whole law system that if you break the law, you put before a judge.
You're put before a judge.
You judge celebrities.
Yes.
All up and down social media. You talk about what you like, what you don't like. That is a judgment. But when it comes to some kind of moral standard or holding people accountable for some things, well, don't judge me. No, we just hold you accountable.
That's it.
It ain't necessarily even a judgment. But if you keep doing what you're doing and it's going down a wrong path, don't ask for all this, for lack of a better term, sympathy when you crash and burn.
And with that being stated, what does your circle of friends, business partners, what does that look like?
It's it can be shifty and seasonal.
Really?
Yes. That's the funny part. That's the funny part. Because of who I am friends to a lot of people, but a lot of people are not friends with me. And it's not for a sympathy deal. I know what my walk is. I know when I'm on, when I'm not. I strive for a lot of things myself, and everybody can't always go with you.
That's true.
And sometimes some people feel a certain way because they can't. Now, don't get me wrong. I've held myself back, trying to wait for everybody to come along, and it's only been through God's grace that I've still been able to push on through. But a lot of things have been delayed in my life. A lot of things probably have not come to fruition because I waited with others for too long. So the circle can always shift. I do have 3 or 4, and they know it, but they don't know it, people who pour into me. And because I am a giver, I've been created to be a giver as well. My cup is very deep. But I also know when my cup is getting a little bit empty, I go back within myself.